please stand and give a round of applause for the nominee for President of the United States, Governor Gary Johnson.
In case you missed it over the weekend, the Libertarian Party, you know the one with ballot access to all 50 states and the 270 electoral college votes needed to win the White House. Yeah, that party. Well, they nominated former New Mexico Governor Gary Johnson to be their presidential candidate. With the presumptive nominees of both the Democrat and Republican parties breaking records for negative feelings from voters, Libertarians are saying, this is our moment. This is our time. Let's welcome back to the Hardline former governor of New Mexico and newly chosen Libertarian candidate for president, Gary Johnson. Governor, it's great to have you back with us.
John, great to be back with you. Thank you.
All right, so we talked in 2012, the last time you were running for president. Any big changes this time around? I asked that kind of in jest. Obviously, Donald Trump, the big change. But there is this feeling among the voters, negativity very high for Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, even for folks who say they support them. Do you feel like there's enough negativity here that you can capitalize?
Well, forget about the negativity for a second. I think that when you have 50% of voters right now that are registering as independent, where is their representation? I happen to think that it's libertarian. It's just that they don't know it. And speaking with a broad brushstroke, libertarian, fiscally conservative, socially tolerant, liberal. Look, on the social side, you can be a social conservative, but if you really want to make that government policy, I think at the end of the day, you're going to end up criminalizing activities that shouldn't those activities be personal choices as long as those personal choices don't put others in harm's way. And then regarding the military interventions, you know, at the end of the day, I think our military interventions have resulted in the unintended consequence of making the world less safe, not more safe.
All right, well, let's just talk about the fact that, you know, for all intents and purposes, we do have a two-party political system here in this country. I do want to mention, though, of course, the Green Party and the Libertarian... Hold on, Governor. The Green Party and the Libertarian Party have access to ballot access to all 50 states and the 270 electoral votes that they need. You are polling right now between 10 and 15% in some places. Where do you see yourself, say, a month from now, and what do you have to do to keep increasing that number?
Well, John, really key to increasing that number is just being in the polls. I have been included in 3 national polls, and yeah, you point out the results of those 3 national polls. But in the meantime, there have been 40 other polls where my name has not been included. And you
how do you increase your name recognition, Governor? I mean, you've been a sitting governor with a record to brag about. You've run for president before. How do you increase the name recognition so it's not just this binary choice that voters are left with, that they have a third choice that isn't just a protest vote, that voters feel like can actually win this?
Well, it is a matter of name appearing in the name appearing in the polls. My running mate, Bill Weld, former governor of Massachusetts 2 terms, really a role model for me growing up. I think he also brings a lot to the ticket. I think he also brings a lot of name recognition. Both of us being successful Republican governors in states that are heavily Democratic. Well, what's that appeal? Well, it's appeal on the fiscal side, being conservative, and then it's social, and then it's appeal on the social side, which is tolerant.
I want to switch topics a little bit and talk about something that's difficult. With somebody who might be waking up to the Libertarian Party, there are some issues here that can be a little bit difficult for them to deal with. I want to go back to something that former Attorney General Eric Holder recently said about Edward Snowden, the NSA contractor who many folks feel is really a traitor to this country. Here is the former Attorney General.
We can certainly argue about the way in which Snowden did what he did, but I think that he actually performed a public service by raising the debate that we engaged in and by the changes that we made. Now, I would say that doing what he did, the way he did it, was inappropriate and illegal.
Now, the last part of that statement, I actually happen to agree with the former Attorney General about that. I know you advocate for personal freedom and privacy, but Governor Johnson, how do you square this when there is clearly a case where American lives have been put in jeopardy by what Edward Snowden did?
Well, actually, I would just suggest, John, and everybody that's watching, is to watch the documentary that won an Academy Award, Citizen 4. It was really eye-opening, and it is about Edward Snowden, and it's about him personally. I mean, it's how this whole thing unraveled.
But he fled to China, and he's living in Russia now. How can we trust this guy?
Well, by trust, he handed these documents over to major media. He did not release these documents because he, in fact, admitted that he did not have the resources to, in fact, determine if he was going to put anyone in harm's way. And that was his major consideration. At the end of the day, really, I agree with Attorney General Holder's statement. I mean, it's pretty darn accurate. And keep in mind, American Revolution. We have these people now looking back as heroes, that we would not know about this mass surveillance that's going on right now. When the FISA court goes, or when it's presented to the FISA court that they want to eavesdrop on 110 million Verizon users, that really smacks of 1984. It is an executive order, 12333 under Truman, that have the satellites pointed on us.
Do you think, Governor, do you think that Edward Snowden needs
our enemies?
Do you think he needs to come back to the United States and face justice?
Well, by face justice, I don't want to see him in prison.
He stands accused of a crime. If he hasn't actually committed a crime, maybe he will be acquitted.
Well, maybe he will be, and if I were president of the United States, I would certainly look into actually pardoning Edward Snowden. This is someone who has divulged information that we would not know about currently, and that's the United States government spying on all of us as U.S. citizens.
All right. Well, it's definitely a controversial topic, Governor. We don't yet know the cost or benefit. We'll stay tuned on that one. I do want to get to some phone calls. If you could stay with us. We got Pam
Sure.
calling from New Mexico, and she says Governor Johnson was a great governor. Pam, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Do you have a question or comment for the governor?
Yes, a comment. There isn't a day goes by that I don't think of Governor Gary Johnson in such a great way, and my prayers continue with him. Years ago, almost 20 years ago, he intervened in a real corrupt system in Illinois when my daughter was kidnapped, and he helped me achieve getting my daughter returned back to the state of New Mexico.
Wow. Governor, do you remember this story?
With me in appointed constituent services, and he knows how to get things done. And he does exactly what he says, and he's a man that's very trustworthy. And my prayers will always be with him. Every day I see my daughter that's the same age as him, and I'm grateful that I got the opportunity to finish raising her, and she's 28 years old now.
Wow.
He probably will remember the situation.
Pam, that is an amazing story. Governor Johnson, do you remember this story?
Vaguely, and I think at the end of my tenure, really, good government was easy. It wasn't hard, and it just started with doing the right thing. Could you actually serve 8 years as governor of New Mexico and not succumb to any pressures? Well, that was and by pressures, doing things that weren't exactly in the best interests of people because of money. Well, that never affected my governorship, and something I was very proud of.
All right, we got time for one more caller, I believe.
Good government was easy. It wasn't hard.
It seems like it's so hard for so many people, though, Governor. I got Mike on the line from Temperance, Michigan. He wants to ask you, Governor Johnson, what you will do differently than President Obama in terms of immigration. I think we have Mike with us. Mike, go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, thank you. I was just curious because obviously the way Obama's doing things currently, I believe that even the director of Homeland Security said that they have no way to actually vet the influx of immigrants that are coming into our country. So Trump has responded in ways that people think are over the top and controversial. So my question is how would you respond in lieu of, what the director of Homeland Security has said is a big flaw in the way Obama's allowing these immigrants to come in?
Yeah, what is the libertarian way to approach immigration and dealing with this porous border we have and the influx of illegal immigrants coming across the border, Governor?
Well, first of all, I think we should embrace immigration, that it's a good thing. We are a country of immigrants, and that we should make it as easy as possible for somebody that wants to come into this country to get a work visa. And a work visa should entail a background check because we don't want criminals in this country, and it should entail a Social Security card so that taxes get paid. I think there is a real misunderstanding with regard to the 11 million illegal immigrants that are here right now.
Well, Governor, I don't want to cut you off. I want to give you
deport-
plenty of time to wrap it up. We got about 30 seconds left, so I'll let you finish up before we got to go to a commercial.
All right, well, I would not deport 11 million illegal immigrants. One thing that President Obama has done is he's broken up 3 million families by deporting heads of family that came over. They came over because jobs were available. They're not taking jobs that U.S. citizens want. It's not an issue of lower pay unless it's an issue of language. And they're the first ones that understand that. And let's not build a fence across the border. If we do that, at some point in our future, we're going to dismantle it for the disgrace that it will ultimately represent.
All right, tear down the wall and let more folks in. That's Governor Gary Johnson. Great to see you again, Governor. Great talking with you.
Thank you very much.
All right, more coming up on the hard line. Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump in a dead heat. Plus, we'll weigh in on that gorilla zoo controversy right after this.